Okay, today we are getting ready for Easter dinner. We got a lot of people coming over, so I have a very big ham to cook. We're going to do it pretty traditional with the pineapple and cherry, the whole 9 yards. But what we got to do first is we've got to trim it. I have a whole ham, shank half, and the butt half. This one is somewhere around 22 pounds. The first thing we're going to do is trim off the skin. Skin is really good for protecting it while you're cooking it, not much for eating after it's cooked. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to trim it off. When we trim it off, I start at the back half and I cut a little strip through all the way to the end so that I have a starting point on it. And then after that, I'm going to make myself a little incision here to loosen it up a little bit, and hopefully I'll be able to get my hand under the skin, because the skin from that point on will pretty much rip off. I try to keep the skin as whole as possible in case I do need to use it for that shield that I was talking about. If I'm cooking in the oven, that's definitely what I would do. We're actually going to cook it on the grill, so we won't need it, but still, I'm going to try and keep it. We got the skin off, and this is a really good ham. You can tell because the skin just peeled right off in one whole piece. What we've got left is the meat with the fat. I don't think we really need as much fat on here as we have, so I'm going to not trim all of it, because if you've ever seen a traditional ham, you'll see that it has the little diagonals on it, the little diamonds, the little pretties on there, and that is part of the fat rendering, and it helps the glazing to caramelize a little bit better. So I'm not cutting it down all the way. I'm just cutting a little bit of that fat off. After I get that fat off, I'll make that diamond form that you see when you look at a ham.
Alright guys, well, my wife and I, we got it trimmed down. We shaped it the way we wanted it. So now what we're going to do is, my wife has a traditional ham she likes to make for Christmas and Easter and any big event. She probably makes the best ham I've ever had. So we really didn't want to go too far away from what she typically makes. This ham, we are going to smoke it on the grill, just like we do for our competitions, just like we really do for anything. So what we're going to do is we're going to inject it with her glaze that she typically makes. Now that glaze consists of pineapple juice, cloves, some beer, and some cherries. She's right behind the camera kind of telling me what's in it. It's cloves and mustard. It's all kinds of good stuff. I'm not sure, but it's really good. So it does have a real strong clove taste to it, which goes great with ham. So don't be afraid if you taste the injection or you taste your injection, it has a really strong clove taste, because that's what it's supposed to have. So we got our standard injector. We're going to inject this the same way that we do our butts, that we do our brisket, that we do everything. Okay guys, so it's really no big difference there. This thing doesn't want to play with me. Oh, it's loose. There you go. Sometimes you gotta play with these injectors. There we go. So what we're gonna do is kind of work our way around. I'm gonna go about every few inches and inject. You should, in a 22-pound ham, I'm going to use about a cup and a half of injection. Really the reason why we're injecting these is because we are putting it on the grill, and it will lose some of its some of its liquids through the cooking process. So we're going to keep going around. So give me. Alright guys, we're back. I got it injected. I used about a cup and a half of injection. Now we're going to let it rest overnight. Just let it kind of marry with the flavors that we got into it. Just let it sit. Tomorrow we're going to put it on the grill, on the smoker rather. We're going to smoke it for about 5 hours, 5.5, just until we get to the internal temperature about 145, 150, which is about where we want. And then we'll let it rest, and then we'll be ready to serve. So I'll see you tomorrow morning when we throw it on the grill, okay?
The ham has been resting with the injection for about 8 hours. And we're ready to make that traditional diamond pattern that you see on hams. All I have is just a knife, and we are going to cut it into a diamond pattern by going crossways. When you cut it, you're cutting through the fat. Try not to cut down into the meat too much, because then of course the meat will split as well as the fat, and all you actually want is the fat. The reason you do that diamond pattern is, as we're going through this, we're going to start marinating, and the marinade will run right off the ham. So to try and catch some of it and let it get into the meat, the diamond pattern catches some of it. We're also going to be putting on some whole cloves in a moment through those diamonds. So you just go crossways, and then you're going to go back the other direction and then put the cloves in. I'm going to go about halfway through this, and then I'm going to put some of the cloves on, and then I'll finish it out. So basically go back the other direction, and you're going to go form complete diamonds. Okay, so now we've got the little, I don't know if you can see it very well with the camera, but you can see where there's little diamonds on the meat. We're just going to take some whole cloves, and we are going to pierce all the way through to the meat in each of those little diamonds, just right into the center, until all you see is the little tops of the cloves. The cloves are just going to give it a little added flavor, and they're also kind of pretty. So you give me just a minute, I'll get all these cloves inserted, and then I'll get right back. Now we have all of our cloves in, and we are ready to start putting on the pineapple and cherries. I use a toothpick to hold them in place, and basically you're just going to make little rings on the pan, and then you're going to take a cherry in the center there and pierce through. Sometimes the pineapples break, and I usually just put another little toothpick in to hold them in place if they're breaking apart, so that they don't fall off the ham at some point in time. And I'll get these going, and then when we get those done, we'll be ready to put it on the fire.
Alright guys, well we got the fire ready, and we got the ham ready. So what we're going to do is, since I'm cooking on a normal grill that most people have at their house, I'm actually cooking direct heat, but I want to turn it into indirect. That's the best way to cook this ham, is kind of indirect heat, low temp, low and slow, so we get to that temperature. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually using a piece of tin foil, and I'm going to create a heat barrier between the ham and the fire. So let's put that. What that's going to do is it'll stop the side over here from burning, and from the heat actually hitting it directly. So what we're cooking with here is we have cherry wood, and then our charcoal that we use for everything else. I want to be running this around 250, and we're going to let it run for about 5.5 hours. We're not going to go based on internal temperature. We know we want at least 145 or higher. So the first set of cooking that we're going to go with is just based on color. We're going to wait till we get that color that we want. We're going to wrap it in tin foil, and then we're going to let it run until it's ready. Alright, so we'll cook you back. After about 6 hours of cooking, it's finally done. Here's our final product. What we did was we cooked it down until we got the color that we wanted on the smoker. We pulled it off and actually stuck it in the oven for the last couple hours until it got the temp. It has an internal temperature of 140, 145. Now we're going to let it rest for about an hour. By then it'll be dinner time. We'll slice it and serve it. It has wonderful flavor. I've been kind of stealing off over here on the shank side. Great flavor. Love the presentation and how it came out. But we'll post these videos. Y'all tell me your comments, send us your photos of how it comes out for you guys. Let us know.